I can continue to work for someone else, or I can take a chance on myself. If it doesn't work, I can always go back and be a W-2 employee somewhere else. What I didn't want to have was regrets. I didn't want to look back in 5, 10, 20 years and say, what if?
Welcome to Veteran Led. Today's guest is Kelo Makelele. Kelo started off in cybersecurity in the Army and now runs his own cybersecurity in the private sector. Today, we're going to talk about how he got to that point from deciding that he was going to be a cybersecurity consultant or employee to being a cybersecurity CEO, and of course, what he learned along the way from the military and his entrepreneurial journey. Welcome to the show, Kelo.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Tell me a little bit about in the Army, you're doing cybersecurity, and we know that that is a field in which they want to keep you as long as they can. And then when you get out, the private sector loves you.
Yeah.
And so what happened when you got out of the Army?
My last duty assignment was at Fort Meade, Maryland, which is the home of the National Security Agency, NSA, and United States Cyber Command, where I spent time at both. So when it was time for me to get out, I was a little nervous. And to be honest, I was like, I didn't know, who was going to hire me, what I was going to do. But then I spoke to, a couple of the service members who had transitioned, prior to myself, and sort of allayed my concerns and fears. So the transition was relatively smooth. I transitioned out on a Thursday, and on a Monday, I was back in that same office as opposed to being in uniform. I was in civilian attire. So it went well for me.
So were you a DA civilian then?
No. So
just a complete.
Oh. Yeah, I was a contractor with can I say the company's name? Yeah, it was Booz Allen Hamilton. Once I initially got out, and I applied for a federal position. My intent was I was going to roll over my military time, convert that to federal civilian service, and do another 25 years and call it a day. But as I was waiting for that federal position, the green light to come in, I was contracting. And so they said it was going to take about 12 to 14 months for it to come through. But it ended up coming in 4. And so at that time, I didn't want to quit because I just started, with Booz. So I said, I'll give it at least, a year, and then, I'll transition over. But then once I, got into the contracting space, I actually enjoyed it. I enjoyed the flexibility and the different projects I was able to support. And so I said, hey, I'll ride this, for a while.
Well, and some of us, we go become entrepreneurial because we're unemployable, right? We just don't fit into that box. But you're doing well, and you've got a great life, and you're happy. Why did you decide to become an entrepreneur and start your own cybersecurity company?
Okay, so once I retired and went over to Booz, a little while after that, I was recruited over to PwC, one of the large consulting firms, one of the big 4 firms, and I was supporting cyber operations for that company. I was loving it. But if anyone who's ever worked in that space, it's long hours. You're on a plane all the time. The demands are incessant, and I got to a point where I figured, hey, if I'm working this hard for someone else, I could be doing it for myself. And I saw other individuals, other companies, I would say, that weren't as industrious and wasn't hardworking or even talented. I said, if they can do it and they're successful, why can't I? I have the drive, the mental capacity, and the technical acumen, to do it. So I said, let me take a chance on myself. And so that's what I did.
And the name of your company now is what?
RedTrace Technologies.
And so you founded RedTrace, 6 years ago?
Yeah, back in 2018.
Okay, so here's an interesting question. Where you hang out with a lot of veterans. We've had a lot of veterans who own businesses and companies, and we think about the military, and the cybersecurity was taken care of. I mean, you had to do the silly annual cybersecurity training, remember, with the same stuff year after year, but it was all taken care of for you.
Yeah.
You couldn't use the thumb drive anymore,
yeah,
and there were, the things changed, but we didn't really think too much about it. And then, you become a small business owner, and you realize, wow, like if I want to do business with bigger businesses, there's a lot of cybersecurity requirements I have to meet. There's a lot of threats out there. So to the veterans out there who have started businesses, what do they need to be aware of in terms of base level? What do they need for cybersecurity?
So I think about, your target market and who you're working with. If there are any type of laws or compliance requirements that are for that industry, like if you work in healthcare, you have the HIPAA compliance. In the legal field, there's several guidelines and regulations. So if that's an industry that you're in, be aware of those rules and guidelines and make sure that you're compliant. If you're looking to do work with the federal government, there's things like NIST 800-53, NIST 171, CMMC, things like that you need to be concerned about.
And today we just heard from a panel on AI, and while there seems to be a ton of opportunity there in both internal and external operations, I mean, the client experience opportunity, the sales opportunity, the marketing opportunity, and then just internally using AI to train your team and using AI to become more efficient. I think in the legal industry, those new associates may become obsolete because if they can do B-level work, that senior partner can look at it and say, well, wait a minute, if AI can do the same work, I can get it done at a lot less cost and get it done a lot faster than having a person do it. So unless that person is excellent at what they do, I probably don't need them. And I see that coming, but from your perspective, what are the threats? I mean, if those capabilities are coming, I got to imagine the ability to hack and the ability for deep fakes and all these things coming through AI. I mean, it's got to be a pretty scary world. So what do you see as the big threats coming?
Yeah. So for us, AI is an enabler and a force multiplier. So it's still going to need a human in the loop. It wouldn't just turn over all the different job functions over to AI. But what it does do is that it frees up the talent that you have to work on, I guess, higher level, higher order type of tasks. So even the most menial tasks that may have taken a skilled operator a couple of hours to do, AI can do it faster, but you still need a human to review it, one who's knowledgeable in that space and to correct it, because it's not perfect, but it is quite helpful.
In your role in cybersecurity, are you finding ways to become more efficient, to use AI in cybersecurity?
Yeah. So both from a technical perspective and then also from a business leadership perspective. So we're using it to review contracts, to review code. There's multiple use cases for it. And so, yeah, we're actually heavily leveraging it.
So I want to shift gears and just go into, 6 years into your entrepreneurial journey. Are you glad you did it?
Yes. And so when I started the company, I was at let's say an inflection point in my career. I was deciding I can continue to work for someone else, or I can take a chance on myself. And if it doesn't work, and I can always go back and be a W-2 employee somewhere else. And so what I didn't want to have was regrets. I didn't want to look back in 5, 10, 20 years and say, what if I had taken a chance on myself? Where could I be? Where could my family be? Where I could have, created generational wealth. I could have had more freedom, as far as time, buying back my own time to do the, pleasurable things that I'm, interested in and interests. And so looking back at it, yes, the amount of time that I put in, working nights, weekends, not taking a vacation and losing time, with the kids. I looked at that, and I experienced that when I was in the military as well. So it wasn't foreign to me. And so I said, I can do this. But as I look back now, 6 years, I have a bit more freedom. So, the organization has matured. We have the, proper team members in place, leadership in place. And so now I can actually focus on running the business and operating the business versus working in the business and being able to do things that a CEO should be focused on. And pulling those levers and growing the organization.
And you think about it, now you have a team of 50, and it's a little bit, you have that stability. But if we would go back to the beginning, you're also in a pretty good position. I mean, there are people who go off and they're going to start some store and sell some goods. But for you, had you failed, you're still in high demand.
Yeah,
I mean, you would have found a job immediately.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, though, that you still decided that you took the risk and you decided to build that bigger, better future for your family. And now as you continue to grow and figure out what unique abilities you want to stay in, and like you said, don't worry about the day-to-day because you're growing the company. What is the most important thing that you do in your company today?
Right now, I would say that strategic messaging, making sure I'm checking in with the leadership and the team members, doing what we used to call battlefield circulation, just going around to the different contract sites and different team sites and the offices. So, we're based in the DC metropolitan area, but we have a similarly sized office down in Norfolk, Virginia, near one of our anchor clients, also a satellite office down in Huntsville, Alabama. And I'm originally here from the New York City area, and we're expanding our commercial line of business. And so we're opening an office here. It's a very small one, but here in the New York City area. But we also have team members across the country. We have team members in Colorado, Georgia, California, Texas. And so ensuring, and clients spread across those different jurisdictions as well. So ensuring that, we're staying connected with a geographically dispersed team. So it requires me to hop on planes, hop on trains, stay connected, flying them into headquarters so they can meet other parts of the organization and conduct team building type activities, and also staying connected with our clients.
Now, you generally do what I would consider to be large contracts. And so my question to you is, do you worry about filling that sales pipeline in commercial, or is it like a foregone, like, hey, we got them, this is cybersecurity, everybody wants some, or how does that, do you worry about the marketing and sales aspect or not?
Yes, definitely. Never complacent, always hungry, always continually growing, because you never know what could happen, from either any type of geopolitical issues to the economy that could disrupt our business. So we're trying to stay diversified and to ensure that we have balance. So as I mentioned, we started in the GovCon space, and then we were asked by some individuals who had left the intelligence community and went to industry to come over and support them. And so that's how we got our foot into the commercial space, and landed our first couple of Fortune 50 clients, and so continue to grow there. But now we've become more intentional in our growth on the commercial side. So we've hired, VP of commercial sales, and is focused on growing that. And I'm lending my expertise and support and helping him, grow that book of business as well. So as mentioned, we support GovCon. That's where we got our start. 3-letter organizations. Support several Fortune 50 clients, and then we also support SMB, small and medium-sized businesses, with similar services, but they're tailored for the unique needs of those specific clients.
Wow. And you've taken that leadership and said, hey, I'm going to build this team, and we're going to be able to serve the clients, and you've done that extremely well. And so I want to take you to the after action review, the great leadership and the not so great leadership. And it can be in the private sector, it can be in the military, but I'd love for you to give those 3 great examples of leadership that you have learned from and that you still use today.
All right. So one was direct and frequent communication. I'll use the term troops, but not just military, but also our team members. Just telling it like it is, even the bad news or the tough information, relaying it and providing frequent updates and direct communication, and maintaining an open door policy. So there are 3 leaders, 2 in the military and 1 on the civilian side, that espouse that principle. And I leverage that to this day. I gotta say I struggle with it, but I'm still always trying to improve. And I revert back and remember those instances, and I try to emulate that in my communication style. Another positive leadership attributes, being personable and humanistic, treating each team member as a human, understanding that they have a life, they may have a spouse or a significant other, children, and other interests outside of work. So not just treating them like a number or a machine and trying to extract, all the resources, out of them, and resources being time, but also understanding that they have a life outside of work, and trying to support that, and also support them in whatever their personal goals are, be it educational, be it professional, be it athletic or spiritual, and so maintaining those as well.
Great. And now the bad. What's some of the bad leadership that you do not want to emulate, or you don't ever want to see in your company?
Yeah, screaming at team members. There's Oh my goodness. So what an adage I like to say is that, no longer in the military anymore. There's no bullets flying. It's not a life or death situation, except for in some cases where we're dealing with, utilities for power, water, healthcare. But for the most part, it's not a life or death situation. There's no need to scream at team members. So we do not tolerate that, and any type of toxic leadership from our senior leaders to our middle managers. We're not gonna tolerate and stand for that. Another one is not giving credit to the team members. There's some leaders that will take credit for anything that's positive that's done within the organization, as in I did this, I did that, but not giving credit to the team members who actually put in the yeoman's work.
OERs, right?
Yeah.
Officer evaluation reports in the Army. I did this.
Exactly. And so, really look to those leaders who praise their team members, who help the organization achieve those strategic goals.
And then, finally, do you have one more?
There's a lot, but another one that sticks out, I would say, is incompetency. Incompetence. So leaders who don't understand, not saying to being a specialist, but don't understand the tasks that they're asking their team members to perform. And so you don't have to be a subject matter expert in it, but to have some sort of appreciation for the tasks that you're assigning to your team members. And, and checking in with them and showing appreciation for their efforts. And so if you don't do that, there's leaders who don't, or who look down upon, certain staff team members. I try to say hello to everyone in our office when I'm walking in the building, from the individuals who are cleaning the windows, taking out the trash, doing everything. When I started the company, I was doing that.
Right.
So I understand it. And pretty much every task or job that's in the company to this day, I at some point performed. So
leadership by example.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's something that I've come up against too, where you get people who have the general knowledge, but they really don't understand what it takes. And then why isn't this done? Well, because it takes 8 hours to do it. It doesn't get done in an hour.
Yeah.
And we have to have that conversation with clients. Like, this is not, you push a button and it's done. This is going to take a long time. And I'm sure you have the same conversation. They want it right here, right now. Like, whoa, this is not out of the box ready. We have to build this. That's going to take some time. And I totally get that. Well, Kelo, thank you so much for your time today. I want to make sure we get up to the reception here. We're in downtown New York City, and want to be able to see the sky and the lights. So if you could tell us, how can veterans learn more about you or your company?
You can go to our website, www.redtracetech.com. That's RedTracetech.com. Also, you can look me up on LinkedIn. My name is Kelo Makelele. That's Kelo. Last name is Makelele, Makelele. Reach out and I'll respond.
Thank you for joining us today on Veteran Led, where we pursue our mission of promoting veteran leadership in business, strengthening the veteran community, and getting veterans all of the benefits that they earned. If you know a leader who should be on the Veteran Led podcast, report to our online community by searching @Veteran Led on your favorite social channels and posting in the comments. We want to hear how your military challenges prepared you to lead your industry or community, and we will let the world know. And of course, hit subscribe and join me next time on Veteran Led.